Welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion, Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Howdy.
Former wrestling announcer and weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain and join us each and every weekday, high noon Eastern, for fresh content at fourthandpain.com. And as always, Adam, that content, low calorie, organic, and high energy.
You stole my line. I was going to say and organic.
Well, sorry.
You line stealer.
Well, whatever. I was just trying to piggyback on the pulse. That's all I was trying to do.
All right. What are we discussing since you stole my line?
Discussing radio continuity and why I'm a genius. Actually, I thought with WrestleMania on the horizon, I want to open up a series of top fives. And with that, what I mean is the top 5 matches and WrestleMania history. Maybe we can do the top 5 moments, maybe the top 5 WrestleMania wrestlers of all time, whatever. But this week, we're going to start with the top 5 matches in WrestleMania history. What do you think?
I like it. So what are some of the criteria for your top 5 matches?
Okay, the top 5 matches to me, it's really simple. 2 criteria is either 1, was it groundbreaking and memorable? As in, did it leave a lasting impression and a legacy? And B, do people still talk about it today?
1 and B, I like it.
Yeah.
You're a scientist, rocket scientist with that one right there.
And C, shut up.
And C3, PO.
What do you think about criteria, man? Talk to me.
To me, I like groundbreaking, should be 1. Another one should be memorable. So I like your first 2. I feel like it should be something that when people watched it, the crowd was into it. Like 2 of my matches are on this list because the crowd was going bananas. The crowd was so into it. And that's why 2 of my matches are on here. So groundbreaking, memorable, or just insanity in the stands while the match is going on.
You mean like Fandango's match is going to be this year?
He still hasn't gotten me my movie tickets yet. I'm upset.
Son of a gun. All right.
I have nothing to do now this weekend.
You're slacking, Fandango. Although I will say,
Fandango home, please.
I really did enjoy his segment with Chris Jericho on Raw this month.
Well, that's because Chris Jericho was funny, not Fandango.
It was a hearken to the Chris Jericho of the past, his years in WCW and his early time in WWE, man. That was primo Jericho, and that is why I have him among my top 5 wrestlers and mic workers of all time.
I mean, he's truly one of the best. He's not in my top 5, mostly because his later stuff of most recent hasn't been as memorable. Back in WCW, Monday Night Jericho and all that stuff. I love that, the highlight reel when he used to do that. He used to be able to almost match with Rock on the mic. To me, back in Rock's heyday, nobody could touch him. But I don't know. Fandango is just terrible.
Well, Chris Jericho, top 5 on the mic of all time, but did he wind up on one of your top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time?
Let me look over the list. No, he did not, but he probably is on all 5 of yours since you're such a mark for Jericho.
I am a Y2J mark.
Jerichoholic.
A Jerichoholic. So, I want one of those flashing jackets like he has.
The Christmas tree thing?
Absolutely. I would love that.
Is he on your list?
He is not on my list.
Well,
but I'm just
saying. What kind of a groupie are you?
I'm a huge Jerichoholic. I'm just waiting on him to deliver at the granddaddy of them all.
That's a horrible. You're
He's
a terrible
awesome
groupie.
The other 364 days of the year, Adam.
That's because he's
awesome.
off with his band doing stuff that nobody ever listens to.
Fozzy rules. All right, your number 5 match.
Well, I'm going to start right out the gate. I love watching this match because there is a surprise. The fans turn on The Rock. And they root for Hogan, who at the time was a villain. He was the heel of the NWO. And the fans root for Hogan, and the fans are going crazy throughout this whole entire match, especially at the very beginning when they meet in the middle of the ring, and they just stand there and they stare at the fans, and everyone is going nuts. And to me, it stole the show that night. I can't even tell you another match that happened at that WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 18, that's the only one I remember that night. And there was no championship on the line. There was no ladder, no I Quit, no nothing. It was a regular match, and it stole the show.
Well, you talk about 2 icons of the business.
Icon versus icon match. That was the nickname for it.
Absolutely. And didn't Hogan get in a rock bottom?
I believe he did. He absolutely did do a rock bottom, yes.
Yeah, that's a much better finisher than the leg drop. My number 5, Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage. Now, here's the thing.
Old school.
Definitely old school.
I
I'm
like it.
kicking it old school, but I'll go progressively newer as the list progresses. But Ultimate Warrior did something Hogan could not do. Hogan kicked out of Randy Savage's elbow drop one time. The Ultimate Warrior kicked out of the elbow drop on 5 occasions.
Well, you know
my
what that
man.
means?
What's that?
He's 5 times the man Hogan is.
Hogan.
I'm going to crash your plane. You gotta look up that promo.
It's classic. It's
It's
on
terrible,
YouTube.
but it's epic.
Numero Quattro. What you got, my man?
For me, I have a match that perhaps if you're watching it, you could actually be pretty bored, but you have to appreciate their in-ring ability. You have to appreciate what it's like to do a wrestling for an hour straight at a very good tempo, which if you watch the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12 between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, first of all, Shawn Michaels comes out of the rafters.
Okay, that's the one where he's on the zip line, right?
He's on the zip line, enters the ring through the rafters. That's his first championship ever. And for the whole hour they wrestle, nobody gets a pitfall. They're so evenly matched. They come out, they make him restart the match, sudden death. Whoever gets the first pitfall wins. And Shawn Michaels pins Bret Hart, and that's when the boyhood dream has come true. And to me, I'm not one of these guys that's big into the technical part of wrestling. If I was, I would watch the other wrestling, shall we say. But to me, I really appreciated it because to do something for an hour straight like that is athletically very, very impressive.
Solid offering, but not as solid, in my opinion, as my number 4. WrestleMania 17 TLC match, Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys versus the Hardy Boys. And Adam, I showed you this clip not long ago. Jeff Hardy is dangling in the middle of the ring. They've got the tag team title strapped to the hook. It's a ladder match, so you got to unhook the thing. And so he's holding on to the hook with the belts. And Edge spears him off the top of a ladder and just drives him into the middle of the canvas. And that was a well executed spear.
Oh, it was that was a sweet move. There's also later in the match, Jeff Hardy gets on top of the biggest ladder I've ever seen. It had to have been about 20, 30 feet. And he does a swanton onto about 3 different people onto 2 different tables. This match just had highlight after highlight. The only reason I didn't put it on is because I've missed some WrestleManias here and there, I'll have to admit. I had never even heard of this match before this. Had I heard of it before, it would have definitely been on here. But it must not be that memorable if I'm just hearing about it now.
Well, this was during the wrestling is banned in the Carriker household period, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I didn't see the Iron Man match until I watched it on DVD, but I had heard about it many times. So to me, that's the difference.
Well, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a copy of WrestleMania 17 and watch this match in its entirety. You talk about groundbreaking. This was groundbreaking. Number 3 for you, sir.
For me, if you were to watch this match now, it probably wouldn't be a big deal because we've seen ladder matches. But this was the first ladder match ever. It was at a WrestleMania. It was for the Intercontinental Championship between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. And at the time, WrestleMania 10, and at the time, these moves had never been seen. This was ground. This is like the first team that ever ran the triple option in the 1960s. Or this is like the Redskins running the option this year in the NFL. Teams didn't know what to do with it. It was groundbreaking. People had never seen it before. And so to me, this is what makes it memorable. This is what makes it so unique.
And me, number 3, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25, their first of 2 matches. I was at this one. The way these two tell a story during a match, second to none. I'm honestly hoping for the same with CM Punk and The Undertaker this year. We're running out of time. Adam, give me your number 2.
I put it at number 2 because every time I looked online, somebody had this match rated number 1. Steve Austin is rated as the greatest on the mic. His stunner is rated the number 1 finishing move of all time. He can't be the greatest at everything. So for that purpose alone, I put it at number 2. Even though it was a great match, Austin versus Hart, I quit WrestleMania 13. It really made Austin for the first time a face. A good guy,
yeah.
A baby face, a good guy in the fans, and it really kind of made Bret Hart the bad guy. And to me, that's what kind of launched Austin, even before the King of the Ring promo that he cut.
And people forget that the guest referee in that match, which coincidentally is also my number 2, Ken Shamrock.
Mr. Ken Shamrock.
I'm just saying. All right, drum roll, please. Number 1 on your list.
Hogan versus Warrior, champion versus champion, Intercontinental champion versus World Heavyweight champion at WrestleMania 6. For days and actually weeks to months after that, I would go to school and people were talking about this match. It was the 2 most popular, polarizing figures in pro wrestling at the time. And the match itself, even though these guys aren't great in the ring, they actually had a great match together. It was one of the best matches ever. Plus the fans were going nuts. The fans were evenly split between these two because they were the most popular wrestlers during that time.
And who was the young Carriker rooting for?
I'm one of those guys. If everybody likes Stone Cold, I like The Rock better. If everybody likes Hogan, I'm rooting for the Warrior. I will not, for the simple reason I put Austin 2 with his match with Hart. I absolutely will not put the guy that everyone likes number one, and I will root for the other guy, so Ultimate Warrior.
All right. And my number one, we talked about WrestleMania 25. Well, the very next year, HBK goes into the retirement. Undertaker sends him there again for the same reasons. It wasn't maybe the most technically sound match of all time, but the way these two told the story, second to none. Near fall after near fall after near fall. And so you get to see, you have to figure going into this match that The Undertaker is going to win. But somehow, even knowing that to be a fact, those two go out and they plant a seed of doubt time and time and time again at the match until The Undertaker eventually prevails because Shawn Michaels just basically, he gives The Undertaker cut the throat sign, and then Undertaker is just like, you're done. And then he tombstones him. Game over.
I can't argue with that list. There's so many great matches at WrestleMania. Another one I asked on Twitter about a year ago at this time, everyone to give me their top 5, and I couldn't put it in my list because I've never seen it. But people, time after time again, gave me Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3. So that's my honorable mention as well.
Well, what about you? Let's throw that out to the listeners again this year. I mean, what are your top WrestleMania matches of all time? Tweet them at AdamCarriker94 or me at the Chuck Carroll, Carroll, or Fourth and Pain. Let us know your top WrestleMania matches of all time. But Adam, one segment to go in the show. We're going to hit pause, come back on the other end. We're going to talk about some rules changes in football, talk about a few other things, and take it home.
Sounds glorious.
Don't go anywhere. This is Fourth and Pain.